Did you know I have lipstick sitting next to where I film? So, because I think that lipstick makes all of this okay. See? That changes everything, doesn't it? Just completely changes everything. Hi everyone, it's me, Natalie, and I was playing with another bingo board yearly challenge and I want to film it for you. I've got 4 year-long challenges that I'm doing. So I'm trying to get on top of where I'm at and sort through, get that direction that I spoke about in the last video. So this is the Australian book bingo and it's run by these 3 great book bloggers, Aussie book bloggers. I will leave a link to all of their stuff in the description box below. So this is the bingo board and I thought I'd try and, get them all done if I can. So this has got 30 prompts on it and I've completed 12. So just under halfway, damn it. Anyway, that's okay. We can get through. So I thought I'd, again, run through the ones I've done and let you know where I'm at. A book with a red cover, I've got Shepherd's Hut by Tim Winton. Loved it. A beloved classic, I read Mystery of a Hansom Cab by Fergus Hume. That was at the start of the year. That's like apparently the first, murder mystery type, Australian murder mystery type book. It was great. It was fun. A prize-winning book, I read the Stiller Prize winner for this year, The Erratics by Vicky Lavelle Harvey. We all know my thoughts on that. A fictional biography. Oh, see, my stars have covered up the prompts. What does it say? A fictional biography about a woman from history. And I read See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt. This is kind of the retelling of an actual event that happened where a woman got charged with killing her parents. It's a full-on book, but really well written. Really, really well written. I loved it. A book with themes of culture. This is a long bow, but I put down The Strays by Emily Biddulph because it's apparently set in the Melbourne art scene in, I don't know, I can't even remember. I've blocked it out. Maybe the 40s or the 50s or the 60s? I don't know. But I mean, art, culture, right? Didn't like that book. Anyway. Themes of inequality, I read Too Much Lip by Melissa Lukashenko, which is kind of following an Indigenous woman in her contemporary world, and the themes of inequality are very apparent in that book. A book with a place in the title, I read Cairo by Chris Womersley, I think it was. You'll see it there. Cairo was the name of his apartment block. It had nothing to do with the Cairo in Egypt, but I'm claiming it. Book set in the Australian outback is Where the Trees Were by Inga Simpson. See how I can double up on these books? It's great. Book set on the Australian coast, I read Breath by Tim Winton. It took my breath away. It's an amazing book. I loved that book. All about surfing and, the use of breath underwater. Very, very cool. A book written by an Australian man, I'm claiming I Am Messenger by Marcus Zusak. I haven't read The Book Thief at all, but I read this one and I don't know why. And it was a really feel-good book. If you need to restore your faith in humankind, then this is the one for you. A book written by an Australian woman, and I'm choosing The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland, who I'm following on her journey and seeing, Alice Hart being printed in French, and yeah, it's wonderful to be connected to a book and seeing the success of it spread around the world. Very cool. Anyway, I digress. And the last one I have done is historical, and I chose Shell by Christina Olson, and this was a book kind of loosely based around the building of the Sydney Opera House in, I don't even know when, 30s maybe? No, it was Vietnam, so 60s. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful writing, just no point to it really. Anyway, I have a review on that somewhere if you need to know more about that. So, the rest of the prompts, I picked stuff off my shelf because that's what we got to try and do. Read the books on your shelf, right? So there's a novel that has 500 pages or more. I have chosen Carpentaria, which I was supposed to have buddy read with Jacqueline and I haven't, by Alexis Wright. This is an Indigenous Voices book, won a bucket load of prizes. Yeah, would absolutely love to read this. So yeah, it just fits. I think it's 519 pages. Yeah. So yep, for that prompt. And then a novella that's no more than 150 pages is A Dutiful Daughter by Thomas Keneally. I think I tried to start to read this. We're at 147 pages, yes. I tried to start to read this and yeah, I just found it really dense. But for the purposes of filling a bingo board, I will plough my way through it. Book by an author with the same initials as you. I'm stumped. If anyone knows an Australian author with the initials NC, hook a girl up because I have no idea. I'm gonna have to just Google that, I guess. Yeah, I'm stumped. I hope there's not a really obvious one that I'm missing. But if you can think of any Australian authors with the initials NC, that would be very helpful. Non-fiction book about an event. I'm claiming this one again. I'm supposed to be reading this for Reading Women Month and hopefully I'll get to it and be able to knock that off. But if not, it can be in this pile. Yeah, you've heard me speak about this a million times because I've passed it from challenge to challenge and never gotten around to it. A memoir about a non-famous person. I have The Trauma Cleaner by Sarah Krasnostein, and yeah, I don't know, like I'm so scared to read this book, but I know it's going to be okay because everybody loves it. But yeah, I mean, really, it's all in the title, isn't it? How scary this book could be. I could never be a horror reader. Oh gosh, I just wouldn't be able to sleep at night. A book written by an Australian woman more than 10 years ago. Good old Helen Garner. I'm going to finally get to Cosmo Cosmolino, I hope. This is, I don't even know what it's about. What sort of household can three lost souls create? Oh, sounds super fun. And of course, I love her writing. We all know that. So had to slip Helen Garner in there. Then there's two prompts, themes of science fiction and themes of fantasy. I just don't do it. No. I don't know, any great Australian science fiction or fantasy books. I mean, even if you recommended it to me, let's be honest, I probably would just go, oh, that's good, thank you. I can't. Anyway, that's just me. The next prompt is Themes of Justice, and I've chosen Whispers of the Wick Women by Fiona Doyle. This follows Jean George, a Wampin, a woman who was a Wick activist, and the Wick native title claims kind of were the next step for the big Mabo native title claims that went through, in mainland Australia. So this sort of follows her fight, and I'm really excited to read this, actually. So, I mean, what could be more about justice than native title claims for our First Nations people, right? So, that one. The next prompt is a book set in the Australian mountains, and I'm choosing The Blue Plateau, a landscape memoir by Mark Tredennick. Mark Tredennick lived in the Blue Mountains for some time, and this is about his attempt to connect to the land and work out its history. The Blue Mountains are just a really magic place. They're gorgeous. If you ever get a chance to visit. So definitely fits the prompt. Book set in an exotic location. I don't know where an exotic location is. This one's set in Singapore. Does that count? This is, what is it? Singapore between the 1970s and 1990s, and somebody disappears. I don't know whether there can be anything exotic about that, but it's an Australian author set in Singapore. There we go. Next is written by an author under the age of 35. Here she is again, but it fits the prompt. And hopefully I'll be reading it this month for Reading Women, so I could tick it off with that. And written by an author over the age of 65, I've got Peter Carey. I've really wanted to read this for a long time. It's about a man who makes up stuff and puts it in a paper. What does he make up? Yeah, that's right. So he makes up this big hoax about somebody who has died, and then there's a trial, and during the trial it works out that he's made it up. So he hightails it out of Melbourne and ends up in Kuala Lumpur. But yeah, it sounds really intriguing. I wanted to read it for ages, so Peter Carey is my over 65 author. Written by an author I've never read. I've been wanting to read this for ages. Richard Flanagan, he wrote, is it The Narrow Road to the Deep North? Or there's some really famous book that he wrote, but I picked this up ages ago. And it's about, a young First Nations girl who gets picked up in Tasmania and then taken to Manchester to try and be saved from becoming a savage. Sounds horrible, but yeah, Richard Flanagan is an Australian author I haven't read. He's really celebrated, so this is it. Then we've got Literary, Mateship with Birds by Carrie Tiffany. On the front it says New South Wales Premier's Literary Awards, so tick. I've been meaning to read this again for ages. I think this was in my Aussie April stack. Anyway, Crime. This is a classic, The True History of the Kelly Gang by Peter Carey, another Peter Carey. The Kelly Gang was an infamous bush rangers mob. I don't know, what do you call them? They're a big mob of bush rangers, and Ned Kelly was kind of lifted up as a hero, like a kind of Robin Hood style hero. But yeah, this book is much celebrated in Australia. I don't know if it is anywhere else. I've always wanted to read it, so it's the crime version. Even got bullet holes on the front cover, huh? We've got Romance, Music and Freeman by Zoe Morrison. I don't know. This is a woman, a girl goes to boarding school in England, falls in love with a professor who's an ass. So not many romances work out how we like them, so that works for me. And then comedy. I don't know if this is a comedy. The Woman in Black. It's been made into a movie, I think. It's about these women that work in the ladies' frocks department in like a Sydney, I think it's in Sydney. Anyway, they work in a ladies' frocks department and it's all about the tales of their world. There's got to be some comedy in that, right? I think that would be really funny. So there we go. That's my stack. I mean, can I hold it up? I don't know. Oh. That's my stack for Book Bingo 2019, brought to you by The Book Muse, Mrs. B's Book Reviews, and Teresa Smith Writes. I'll leave all those links down below. So I'll pull from this pile and add it to the other piles. I'm just producing piles and not acting on them. Is that a good thing? I don't think so. Anyway, thanks for talking through my new direction for my yearly challenge. I'm feeling very organized. So thanks for coming on this journey with me. I'll see you in the next challenge update, I guess. Bye.